what we'd like to do is ask each of the panelists to take a few minutes and to talk about, from your perspective, from the agency that you are with or were working with, what the possibilities are with respect to interdisciplinary work. So maybe, since we have Jason in Washington, maybe we can start with Jason.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. It's a little bit like being max headroom up here. You never quite know how big your forehead is and how your voice is coming through. So right now, I think what the NEH and me in particular would like to focus on is teleportation, so that I can join you this evening. It's hard to hear your laughter, so I know it's there. So NEH, I'm with the Office of Digital Humanities, one of the 3 senior program officers in that office. ODH is a relatively new office, and it was built precisely in some ways to foster the kind of interdisciplinary interaction and research that we've started talking about this evening. It was formed in part in response to the ACLS cyber infrastructure report, our cultural commonwealth, which was itself sort of modeled off of the NSF cyber infrastructure report that preceded it. And we were really built not because digital humanities was a particularly new thing, and not because NEH had never worked with technology in the past, because digital humanities and humanities interactions with technology had been around quite some time. In fact, we just released our digitized records going back to our founding in 1965, and found several records going back to our earliest days that demonstrated the amount of effort and energy we put forward in fostering research with computation. I found a great grant record with Andy Van Dam at Brown University that was based on using a new thing called hypertext, right? And it was really in quotation marks on the little record, the McBee card. But ODH was formed so that NEH could take a more of a leadership role in fostering interdisciplinary research and trying to develop 3 core areas, really. One, basic research that's both interdisciplinary, that's collaborative, and that involves digital technologies. If you came to NEH, 10 or 12 years ago and said, hey, I've got this idea, I think it might work, can I have $300,000 to try it out? Usually that would work. In fact, as you well know, peer review is oftentimes meant to mitigate risk. And so we created grant programs like the Digital Humanities Startup Grants, which were intended precisely to allow people the opportunity for failure. And I think it was the first time we actually got the word failure at a set of grant guidelines, so I think we get a lot of credit for that alone. So those are grants that are meant to allow you to experiment, to work on methodology. A lot of times in collaborations and interdisciplinary work, the methods need to be refined, need to be tested. There may not be a way of doing the thing that you want to do. And so that's one way that we started to foster research. We also responded to the report, the cyber infrastructure report, that had a call for building expertise. As you well know, graduate training, especially in the humanities, oftentimes didn't have any sort of computational component other than using the library and their resources. And so we fostered a number of training institutes for graduate students, mid-career, and late career academics. And so some of those examples might be on network analysis, which Tim Tangolini at UCLA, who's a Scandinavian scholar, worked with IPAM, the Institute for Pure and Applied Mathematics, to develop a robust 3-week institute where mathematicians would start talking, and the humanists, they reported to us, they'd say, oh, my brain would hurt. And then the humanists would get up and start talking, and then the mathematicians would say, oh, my brain would hurt. So it was a really great interaction and cross-collaboration that fostered a number of projects that have developed out of it. And the third big area that we've been working on is fostering collaborations, and especially international collaborations. So one program you may have heard of that we created is called Digging into Data. And it's initially was a collaboration with 4 countries, the US, Britain, it's late here, obviously. So the US, Netherlands, Britain, and Canada. But now we're part of the Transatlantic Partnership. We're rolling Digging into Data into about 13 countries, including Brazil, I believe Peru, Germany, and several others. And Digging into Data is really centered on the question of, how do you use big data mining techniques on large-scale humanities and social science data in interesting ways. It's both a methodology question and a sort of investigation, research question on humanities and social science topics. So I think I'll stop there. I've talked for a few minutes, but that's one of the ways that NEH has really tried to start fostering this kind of interdisciplinary collaboration.
Great, thank you.